On this episode of Moviocrity, everybody dies. The film is called Superstition, not something that jumps out at you. And honestly, there have been so many haunted house flicks over the years that it's hard to find one with stuff we haven't seen before. But don't worry, I wouldn't be bothering with this film if it didn't reject the notion of Moviocrity and fully embrace the adventure without shame dogma. The film starts out with a classic cliche, kids making out in front of a haunted house, because, well, that's just where kids made out in the 1980s. I guess it is considerably less skeezy than the parking lot of a 7-Eleven, so who am I to criticize? Anyway, there's a false scare, which is a nice touch, but then things get insane, and they kinda stay there the whole movie. The pranksters may not have believed all the stories about the house, but they are soon dispatched by the ghost of a vengeful witch, complete with ethereal, maniacal cackling. And she doesn't just throw things at the kids or drag them across the floor. No. That's paranormal activity laziness. No, the ghost takes one kid's head off and microwaves it. Then when his friend freaks out, she bisects the kid with a window. And thus, we have one of the greatest things about Superstition. The witch finds all these creative ways to kill people, and why exactly? I don't know. But I guess when you have all of eternity on your hands and all you have to look forward to is killing people, you're bound to get creative. I mean, why phone it in, right? See, now that's me using logic, but that's the other thing. There is absolutely no logic in this film whatsoever. Look at this scene in which a priest just casually walks into a room and, well, let's just see how this pans out. Oh yes, that just happened. And that's what happens for a good portion of Superstition. Stuff is going along normally when all of a sudden the world gets tilted. You are never able to relax and get your bearings because Superstition has no bearings to give you. Like I said, the backstory is pretty darn simple, but it's how it's conveyed in this film that makes it positively loopy. Centuries ago, there was a witch, and not a fake one either, or some nice practitioner of Wicca. No. This is a real, honest-to-Satan evil witch who kills children and just doesn't care who knows about it.
Mighty God, look at her face!
They try burning the witch, but like everything else in this movie, they screw that up too. And what is that about horror films? It always seems like they put all these innocent people to death over the centuries. But once they get a real evil person on the stake, well, they just wind up getting cursed, and their children pays the price, and their children's children, and, well, yeah, you know the drill. But see, the young priest in charge of managing church property in the present day doesn't seem to be fazed by any of this. And he has plenty of warnings, believe me. He is warned by the crazy old lady about what's going to happen to anyone setting foot in the house. There's a strange little girl that introduces herself to him, but he never mentions her to anyone else and never questions what she's doing there. And despite an ever-rising body count, this character doesn't even look up the history of the place until the film is nearly over.
Am I too late? Has it already started?
Yes, you're too late. Because by then, he has allowed a troubled family to settle into the property. This includes an alcoholic priest being given one last shot to make things work, his suffering wife and his 3 children. They have names, but let's just call them Witch Chow, since that's what they are. And don't think that anyone is inexpendable here. Superstition follows the great Joe Bob Briggs mark of quality that anyone can die at any time. In this case, anyone because the film just doesn't care, and at any time because the film never makes a lick of sense anyway. The film is bleak, which is usually a sore spot for films wanting to get the adventure without shame's seal of approval, but the characters are so insipid, the witch's revenge is so elaborate, the film is just so downright bonkers that it manages to be a lot of fun. Yes, you've got some really well shot scenes, but you also have the crazy horror gags, a jaunty musical score that plays a bouncy version of the Bella Bartok piece previously mined in The Shining, a crazy witch cackle that I guess shows that our villain at least is really enjoying her work, and then you have some really amazing bad dialogue, howlers like these.
May have doomed us all, churchman. Shut your bitchy mouth!
She's crazy. You're wasting your time.
You're a stupid man.
And you are an ugly old bag.
Come on, Inspector, that doesn't help.
That's good stuff right there, people. This film was directed by James Roberson, a cinematographer who only directed a handful of films. He worked with director Charles B. Pierce on fact-based horror flicks like The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and even directed his own true crime-type film, The Legend of Alfred Packer. There is nothing, however, that roots Superstition in any kind of fact. This one is pure horror fantasy all the way, and it doesn't pretend to be anything but. Though never officially listed as a video nasty, its gory set pieces and nonsensical devil shenanigans caused it to be prosecuted during the UK's infamous conservative crackdown, something that no doubt contributed to its continued success in Europe.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I have far too much.
How can you judge on a video nasty?
Oh,
You've never
easy.
seen one.
I actually don't need to see visually what I know is in that film.
Nevertheless, this 1982 film remained unreleased in the United States until 1985. Superstition is bleak and bloody, but it's also kind of insane, with a goofy anything-goes approach that keeps things entertaining and amusing, even if it's not always intentional.
Tonight, I'm going to the movies. Tonight, I'm gonna lay back and stare and let the pictures take me anywhere. Tonight, it's gonna be adventure. Tonight, I'm gonna play the leading part.